What would you do if multiple lives were dependent on you getting rid of evidence with some quick thinking science? Do you think it would help if you happened to be a well-known physicist and Nobel laureate? It couldn't hurt, right? Most Nobel recipients have a story to tell. Today we're going to tell some stories about the prizes themselves, including one about one of science's most Macgyver moments. The Nobel Prize was established in 1901, 5 years after its benefactor, Alfred Nobel, passed away. Nobel stated in his will that he wanted the majority of his wealth to be used to award prizes to those who have conferred the greatest benefit to humankind. Nobel was a chemist, an engineer, an inventor, and even a poet. He amassed a fortune for the 355 inventions he created in his lifetime, most notably dynamite. Nobel's motivations for establishing his award are often summed up in a tale that perhaps you've already heard. That he reevaluated his legacy after reading his own obituary in a newspaper in 1888. This was quite a shock for him because, well, first of all, he wasn't even a little bit dead, but also he realized he would be remembered as someone whose invention had caused death and destruction. Definitely not a benefit to humankind. He quickly updated his will, and the rest is history. However, this may be a bit of cyber fiction. It's kind of like that 50 Shades of Grey fanfic you've been working on. It's at least pretty likely to be embellished. Whatever the motivation, today there are Nobel Prizes awarded each year for contributions to humanity in chemistry, physics, physiology or medicine, economic sciences, literature, and, of course, peace. Some fun facts about the Nobel Prize. A maximum of 3 people and 2 works can share any given award each year, and the Peace Prize is the only one that can be awarded to an institution. Although technically you're not eligible to receive the award after you've died, 4 individuals have been honored with a posthumous prize under various conditions. The family that has the most awards is the Curie family, with 4 awards. Marie and Pierre Curie received the Nobel for Physics in 1903, and Marie received the Nobel for Chemistry in 1911. The Curie's daughter and her husband, Irene and Frederic Joliot Curie, won the prize for chemistry in 1935, and then their other daughter's husband also won the Peace Prize in 1965. Incidentally, while 4 individuals have won more than one prize, Marie Curie is the only person to have won a prize in 2 different sciences, and she and her daughter are the only mother and daughter to have ever each won. Shout out to poor Eve Curie, the Jan Brady of notable families. Seriously, can you imagine the dinner table at the Curie house? So, Eve, you're a war correspondent, lieutenant in the French First Armored Division, and an accomplished pianist. But what are you doing with your life? Winners attend a banquet with the Swedish royal family and receive a one-of-a-kind, hand-designed diploma, a solid gold medal, and a monetary prize. In 2019, the cash prize was worth nearly $1 million per prize. The medal itself is only about 66 millimeters in diameter. That's about 2.5 inches to my fellow Americans. But weighing in at 175 grams of solid gold, they're each worth several thousands of dollars at current gold prices. And that's just face value. The historical value is so high that they're often sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. The first living Nobel laureate to sell his own medal was James Watson. Nope, not that Watson. That guy. His medal fetched a whopping $4.1 million in 2014, and the winning bidder, Russia's Alisher Usmanov, gave it right back to him, saying he wanted his donation to go to scientific research and the medal back with the person who deserved it. So what about that Macgyver moment? It happened during World War II. German Nobel laureates Max von Laue and James Franck sent their medals to fellow physicist Niels Bohr in Denmark for safekeeping. You may remember Bohr from his model of an atom, conveniently named the Bohr model of an atom, and you may recall the Nazis from all kinds of terrible things, including raids, looting, and imprisoning or killing innocent people based on trumped-up charges. The Nazis invaded Denmark in 1940, and knowing that Bohr was aiding German refugees, they targeted his lab. Not only would they want to get their hands on those gold medals, once they did, they'd see von Laue and Franck's names on them, and probably sentence them to death for taking gold out of Germany. Bohr and his colleague, George de Hevesy, came up with a plan to hide them in plain sight, as one of their lab chemicals. Precious metals like gold and platinum can be dissolved in a chemical solution called aqua regia. Well, it sounds like something you'd find next to the Dasani at the grocery store, or maybe something you'd cook up at Hogwarts. Aqua regia is a mixture of nitric acid and hydrochloric acid. Neither alone will dissolve the metal. Without the hydrochloric acid around, only a small amount of gold will ultimately react with the nitric acid and become positively charged. But add in hydrochloric acid, and that's where the magic, or science, happens. While gold is sharing electrons with the nitric acid solution, it sees hydrochloric acid and decides it likes it just a little bit better than nitric. It has a higher affinity for it. And it says, "Thanks for all you've done for me, No3, but I'm hooking up with hydrochloric acid now." It's kinda like if you were to invite me over to your house for pizza, and then when I get there all ready to eat, you ask if I want to stick with the pizza or give me the option to change to tacos. And if you think I'm sticking with pizza when there's tacos on the table, well, maybe food analogies just aren't your thing. And the really cool thing is, because of chemical equilibrium, which is like balancing the scales of reactants and products, now that there's less of that positively charged gold around, nitric acid wants to grab more of the gold molecules to rebalance the scales. Then that gold ion's wandering eye sees hydrochloric acid looking like a tasty taco and moves over to it. And the reaction just keeps perpetuating itself until you've got a container of innocent-looking amber-colored solution. By the way, while I know I mentioned a lot of food in there, so it seems very user-friendly, seriously, don't try this at home. With all the solid gold you have laying around or whatever. This solution is very reactive and creates noxious fumes which could result in, well, let's just say it's on the spectrum of mixing bathroom cleaning products together and whatever it is that's always happening to Beaker on The Muppet Show. In the movies, Tahevishi would hear the Nazis arrive at his door, he'd drop the metals into the solution at the last minute, and just as the music crescendos, the bad guys bust through the door and find an innocent, worthless flask of some science nonsense. In reality, this reaction is a slow one, so while it might not have looked like a Steven Seagal action sequence, when the Nazis did arrive and search Bohr's place, all they saw was a bunch of chemicals on a shelf. After the war, the gold was chemically pulled back out of the solution, sent to Sweden to be recast into metals, and finally, returned to von Laue and Frank. And that's worthy of a Hollywood script. Now, you don't have to have a great follow-up story to win a Nobel. You don't have to have an entire family of winners, make metals disappear and reappear, or donate millions of dollars to scientific research. But you do have to make a contribution that greatly benefits humanity. And, like Alfred Nobel, I think we can all agree that that's a worthy legacy to strive for. Thank you for joining me today. If you'd like to know more about the Nobel Prize or go down an internet rabbit hole of aqua regia reactions, George Tahevishi, the Curie family, including Eve, or any of the scientists I mentioned today, check out the links below.